Oh boy. He's heading to Edmonton, baby. One of the best teams in the NHL just got better? Did they get better? I'm not too sure. Let's go out there and dive into this. John Klingberg is heading over to the Edmonton Oilers, and this was an hour ago. Now, though, we have ourselves the dollar amount. Klingberg contract with the Oilers is a $1 million pro-rated salary and a $350,000 bonus. Now, people are going out there and asking, what are the conditions on the bonus? Oh, what's the length? I mean, we don't really see it here. I'm assuming it's 1 year. No real reason to believe it's anything more, right? Considering the fact that John Klingberg, now of the Oilers, hadn't suited up in an NHL game since 2023-2024 at the beginning of the season. The last time the guy played a single game was on November 11th. So, the Klingberg experiment in Toronto didn't work, unfortunately. He had 5 points in 14 games, which is realistically fine production, but his health was not able to keep up. He had to have that, hip replacement surgery? Let's just go out there and Google that real quick. Klingberg hip replacement surgery. Hip resurfacing surgery, excuse me. Hip resurfacing surgery. It's the same thing that Patrick Kane had, I'm pretty sure. Resurfacing, and then we'll look for Kane and try to highlight that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing that Patrick Kane had. Something like that? I'm not really too sure anymore. Nothing's really getting confirmed. But John Klingberg has indeed been out for over a calendar year, recovering and trying to get back up to speed. He is a guy who at his best was a 67-point player with the Dallas Stars in 2017-18. Although, as we had noted back in the video initially talking about John Klingberg, if you go back to the NHL in this time frame, the NHL was an entirely different league. Not only was Connor McDavid still dominating, which I guess is not really all too surprising, but defenseman scoring was kinda down compared to where things are right now. The top defenseman in points in this 2017-18 season was John Carlson, who had 68 points. You had Brent Burns and Klingberg also here with 67 points, and then the rest of the defense rounded out as follows. You had Victor Hedman over here, Erik Karlsson over here. None of these guys were near the top of the NHL in points, unlike nowadays where you have the Quinn Hugheses and the Cale Makars and the Foxes going out there with 80, 90, 100 even point seasons like we'd seen out of Erik Karlsson the other year. But the NHL back then wasn't really all too defenseman heavy scoring-wise, and in terms of what John Klingberg was, he was legitimately one of the best defensemen in points in that sample. He then rounded himself out with the Dallas Stars organization, had 47 points in 74 games, rejected a massive $60+ million contract with the team because he wanted a little bit more. Or was it that he rejected a $56 million contract? It was one of the two. He rejected a huge deal in Dallas, wanted to get more, wasn't able to get that in the Anaheim Ducks system, ended up settling for a 1-year deal, and then he signed in Toronto. John Klingberg missed out on the bag. He could have been getting paid from 2022 up until 2030 or 2029 or whatever it was in a really high AAV dollar amount deal. But he said no. In fact, I kind of want to take a blast to the past. Let's go out there and go back to his Wikipedia page because it does highlight that same aspect. Sorry, we need to get into the signing, I know that, but I wanted to dive into this here too. As an unrestricted free agent at the end of the 21-22 season, contract negotiations fell through with Dallas during the season after Klingberg and his agent turned down an 8-year contract with an AAV of $7 million. There you go, $56 million total. Instead, they were seeking out an AAV of $8 million at 8 years. After failing to attract interest in a long-term deal during the opening weeks of free agency, Klingberg fired his agent and hired new representation. A lengthy contract never materialized, and on July 29, 2022, Klingberg ultimately signed a 1-year $7 million deal with the Anaheim Ducks. In the 22-23 season, he was leaned upon heavily for the rebuilding Ducks and struggled to match his career scoring pace. However, he had still led the Ducks blue line with 8 goals and 24 points in 50 games. Eventually, he was sent over to Minnesota, and then he left Minnesota in free agency for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So he did reject a huge 8-year, $7 million AAV deal because he wanted 8x8. He wasn't able to get that, and then in free agency, he only signed a 1-year deal. He was guaranteed 7 more years with this AAV amount, but then he wasn't able to get it. He settled for 1. Talk about betting on yourself, and talk about it not going well. Anyways, Klingberg is now going over to the Edmonton Oilers making $1 million, so talk about a pay cut and a half. But if you go over to the Oilers sub, I wanted to dive into some of the comments over here. Let's talk about what Oilers fans are saying about this signing. I don't mind this move, as long as it's for veteran depth and not the solution to the right D spot on second pairing. Anything is better than Josh Brown, which is probably the guy whom Klingberg is going to replace. As long as that plan doesn't change, Stecher and Edmondson have played for their minutes. It'd be such a slap in the face if one of them gets bumped down to the 7th defenseman spot. I don't know how to feel about this. Maybe he's on a league minimum deal and we waive Josh Brown. Depends on how much. Chris Johnson said the contract yesterday will probably be structured with bonuses, so similar to Brown's situation, could be league min to $1 million, with some bonuses in case he plays X amount of games. I don't like this plan. That bonus better be pretty darn modest. Let's go out there and talk about this. Low risk, high reward. Pending the bonus structure, it's probably low risk, medium reward. I don't think Klingberg has played hockey in over a year. Even then, he's played limited games at a poor level since 22-23. Off major injury and surgery, if he's even a competent NHL defenseman at this point, I think you're thrilled. I'd be shocked if he's a top 4 D-man at this stage, but I'd love to be proven wrong. He's good friends with Matthias Janmark, who famously got sloshed at Klingberg's wedding. I'm ready for everyone here to act like this is the worst thing ever. This is going to be a contract that can 100% be buried in the minors. He's an extra body for if they need someone in the playoffs or when someone gets injured. All he costs is money, probably league min. I'd rather them do this than trade a 4th for a 7th like Mike Green. He's also got upside if the surgery did what it was supposed to. It's also been reported multiple times that even if they did sign him, they would still be looking for a big-name top 4D. And so at the end of the day, this is definitely not the end of the world here. This is an okay signing for a team that is one of the best in the NHL. They're getting an addition of a guy that could, in some respect, do some damage. I mean, it depends on how well he's able to fully establish himself after the surgery. It has been over a year since he has played a regular NHL game after all. But John Klingberg going over to the Oilers, adding himself on to this D-core. I mean, if you're taking a look at the guys that are getting replaced, I guess, okay, yeah, John Klingberg is already here. Daily Faceoff already put him alongside of Darnell Nurse. Man, if it was like 2020, this D-core would have been really good, but it seems like, penciled in for now, Klingberg has an opportunity to maybe be a top 4 defenseman. The question is, though, whether or not he's fully able to be a part of that unit and actually look like he belongs. If he doesn't look out of place, this is a fine signing for $1 million with a prorated salary and only $350,000 in bonuses. That's really not a high amount. If it ultimately does boil down to games played, I honestly might even be cheering for the guy to get the games played mark, considering the fact that he rejected such a big contract all those years ago and ended up getting burnt in the process. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about John Klingberg signing with the Edmonton Oilers. How do you think this will impact a team? Do you think he'll have himself a good fit? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.